your photography and copyright laws. Confusing? I'm going to try and help. Greetings all, and welcome back to another information video here. I just actually want to point out right from the very start of this video that obviously we're going to be talking about copyright and copyright infringement and who owns the rights to images and etc. But I just need to point out that I'm not a lawyer. I've got no legal background of any shape or form. So the information I'm giving you today is purely on research and things that I've found and my own general knowledge. So if you do need any legal representation or anything like this because you believe of copyright, I suggest you speak to a lawyer. You're going to notice here I've got quite a fair few notes, and the notes are here just to help me to try to get this as accurate as I possibly can and to try to get the wording correctly as opposed to just free flowing. And yeah, because I don't really want to get too, I don't want to get this wrong in wording or whatever. So I've really tried to make sure that I'm going to keep to a pretty good script as opposed to normally where I just have bullet points and stuff. So you're gonna have to bear with me if I keep looking down, because I'm just trying to make sure that I get as much of this information as right as possible. So I also just want to point out as well, today is the day of recording is Saturday the 14th of January 2023, and the reason I put this date is because as far as I am aware, the information that I give is accurate to my knowledge at the point the video was made. So if you're watching this in the future and it's now 2026, laws and things could have changed, which this would then not be accurate. So please, this is accurate at the time that the publication was done. Let's just talk about the copyright owner and who owns the rights to images that are either taken via a camera or digitally created. All photographs and images have an owner. This owner is the copyright and has certain rights over it. This owner of the copyright has exclusive rights to reproduce the image, copy, sell, print, duplicate, adapt, and many other things. And if somebody is found to be doing those things without the permission of the copyright owner, that is the breach of copyright. And just a bit of a side note here as well, there are plenty of myths around the internet that if you change 30% of an image or you change 3 things of an image, this voids the copyright. Let me just perfectly make this clear, that is a myth and is false. Well, generally speaking, the copyright belongs to the person who created the image. In the case of a photographer, that's the person that took the shot. This changes slightly if the photographer is employed by a company to take photographs on their behalf. This includes freelance. Basically then the copyright would be then held by the company, not the individual person taking the photograph. Just go have a look at a very quick and simple scenario here. So say you're out and about, you're walking with your girlfriend in a park and you're walking next to a lake and you decide that you want a photograph of you and your partner together at the lake. You see a passerby, you approach the passerby and ask him or her to take a photograph of you, for which they say yes. You stand, you pose, the person takes the photograph, you say your thank yous and walks off. Who owns that photograph? So there are some people saying, well, it was you and your girlfriend because it was your camera equipment that the person used. Or is it the passerby because he's the one who created the image? And there are some people who say, well, it's going to be that then down to the manufacturer of the camera because it was the camera that created the equipment. Is in fact the passerby who took the image. He's the copyright owner. And that's probably going to make you think, that's going to put me in a bit of a position, because I've got plenty of photographs where that has happened. Let's just look at this from a legal challenge perspective. Let's just say, for instance, that you share this image on social media. I don't think anything is going to happen. But then that image then gets spotted and you get paid, because this image then wants to be used in a publication and it generates a good bit of an income for you. Can this passerby then claim for damages? Like I said, I am not a lawyer, but from research that I have done on this particular scenario, would likely not stand up in court. However, it's not to say that the passerby who took the photo could challenge the ownership of the photograph and claim damages, because in the eyes of the law as it stands, he could be entitled to do so. How do I get permission to print and share the photos? Well, when you purchase, say, a digital image from a photographer, you'll usually be given permission to print and share the photos in a few ways. Either by documenting what permissions that you have for printing and sharing, or if you're downloading a digital image from a website, there's normally terms and conditions of what you can and you can't do with the image. And these are the terms and conditions that nobody ever actually reads. And you're probably going to find yourself in very, very deep water by not reading these terms and conditions, because I can pretty much guarantee that there are quite a lot of people, and I've actually seen some of my friends actually publishing images and thinking, ouch, you shouldn't be doing that, but that's not for me to say. So yeah, always read them terms and conditions when you purchase digital images to make sure that you're aware of what you can and can't do. And because you'll probably find in a lot of the terms and conditions, even the ones on my website, prohibits you from even sharing these images on social media and so on and so forth. Or by issuing a license, which is sometimes called a rights agreement, a usage agreement, a print release. There's a whole list of the things, but they are pretty much all the same thing, which gives you certain rights on printing, sharing, duplicating, this sort of thing. Can you ask the photographer to give you or hand you over the copyright to the images? Oh yeah, of course you can. Same again, this sort of thing needs to be done beforehand, before any images have been taken. Though you're probably going to find a lot of photographers are going to be reluctant to do this. And the reason being is because once you hand the copyright over to another person, you've also given that person the rights to copy, share, make money from it, alter the image, and so on. So technically speaking, the photographer's done the work, and then you're going to make a lot of money from it, which they're very unlikely going to hand over a copyright. Me personally, unless it was going to make me millions by handing over the copyright, because you're damn right I would, charge a substantial fee in doing so, a photographer is not likely to hand it over, because I certainly wouldn't. And it's for that particular reason, is that because somebody then could go and make a lot of money from those images. But you discuss it with a photographer, because they may do. I want to talk about copyright within copyright, and this may sound a bit complex, but it's actually pretty simple. And I'm going to go over a bit of a scenario, because it is going to help to explain what this means. Actually, we're going to go over a couple of scenarios, and one of them was an actual situation which I've actually been in myself, and how it was resolved so that certain things could happen. So let's just sort of say, when you take a photograph, you do need to be aware that there could be within the photograph copyrighted material. And what I mean by this is, if you took a photograph and within that image there is a copyrighted photograph, this is where this scenario comes in. And I'm going to give a couple of examples of what's acceptable and not acceptable. So let's just say you are out with your girlfriend, you've just actually come back from your walk on the lake, you go into an art museum, and there are plenty of pictures and paintings and stuff like this all on the wall, and you take a generic photo of your girlfriend entering the building, and in the background there are lots of little paintings and stuff on the wall. Well, this is copyright within copyright, because the paintings are copyrighted, but they appear in your image, which is also copyrighted. And this is where you need to be probably pretty careful when taking these sorts of photos. But for the example I've just given, because the images themselves are of a background nature, it would be deemed or classed as successful. The same again, this would all depend on individual cases. But let's go one step further from this one, and you are within this building itself with all the paintings and everything all around, and your girlfriend stands next to a painting and the photograph is then taken. This would then be in breach of copyright of the painting that was given. So I actually just want to sort of say about the situation where I was actually in this myself. And a while ago, a few years back now, my wife and myself was on a TV program, Couples Come Dine With Me. You may have seen it. One of the things that the producers first do is, when they are in your property, is they look for material that could be copyright protected. The same again, this is a case of, even though you're not showing deliberately the images, when they do certain broadcasts like this, they are going to go over the top to protect themselves from any copyright infringements. And so they check all paintings and pictures and everything like this to see who the copyright owner is. Because if we know who the copyright owner is, they would approach the copyright owner and say, and ask for written permission that it doesn't matter that this is in the production. If they say no, the painting would either be removed or covered. We didn't know who the copyright owner was. It was covered basically just for their own safety and purposes of breach of copyright. And obviously, as I'm recording now, there are pictures in the background. Well, I took these so they can stay there. And there are various other pictures and that are around that I do tend to move if they are within, because I never took the photos, even though it would not be deemed, as we go back to the scenario before of being in an art gallery, it wouldn't be deemed a breach of copyright. Sometimes it's best just to take that little bit of extra precaution and just to basically make sure. Another example I'm going to give as well is that on some of my videos I've actually shown some of your work, and I like doing so, but I don't do so unless I have got permission from the copyright owner of the photograph. This could be in any form of whether it's written consent or even just via a text message. And these text messages then get screenshotted, and because obviously I keep a backup of all of my YouTube videos, that text message stays with the video. So should anything arise in the future, not saying that it would, that I have got a proof that I've had permission from the person to use the images. And I've done this quite a bit. It's just one of those things that I do to protect myself. This is not a case that I don't trust the person, because actually all the people that I have done this for, I do trust. This is more just a case of, let's just say, playing by the rules. I hope this has helped in some way. I will be doing other videos very similar to this one. I've already done one about photography in the UK laws, link up above. And I thought I'd actually do this one because they are questions that people ask quite a lot. And obviously, being a photographer myself, where I have done work for clients and all the rest of it, I do have contracts, and on my website I do have terms and conditions, and all of these are to protect me, the copyright owner. And so for me to try and help somebody out there, or to give a bit of a guidance, is all that this video is about. It's just a bit of help and guidance. So yeah, if you do like this video, give that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, because I will be doing more of the sort of factual sides of things in the future, as well as being out in the field, photography and stuff on the computers and all this sort of business. Try and cover it all, and hopefully it helps. So yeah, give that thumbs up, subscribe. But thanks for joining me, guys. I hope it's useful, and I'll see you on the next one. So take care, stay safe, and I will see you soon.